Hi, everyone. This is Rohit from Lifestyle Mastery. Today, I'm excited to have Mark Timm, who's the author of the new book, which is Mentor to Millions: Secret of Success in Business and Beyond. Mark is also the president and CEO of Ziglar family and the company he founded 15 years back, which is Cottage Garden. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Hey, thanks for having me. Really excited to be here with you today.
Awesome. So, you have a very interesting journey. You're a father of six kids, and you also are a lifetime entrepreneur, right? How did you get into entrepreneurship, and what made you, get along with Kevin Harrington and write the book, The Mentor to Millions?
Yeah, entrepreneurship is such an amazing path because a lot of times we don't just wake up and say, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Life happens. There's a lot of people out there right now during these crazy COVID times that are becoming entrepreneurs because life happened. And that's exactly what happened to me. I was in a corporate job. I was climbing the corporate ladder. I thought I had the perfect corporate setup. And then one day I came home and realized I didn't even know my kids. Like I didn't spend any time with them. I left in the morning before they got up. I got home at night after they were in bed. And I said, this is not why I was put on this earth. This can't be what I'm supposed to do. And so at that particular time, I evolved into an entrepreneur so that I could have more control of my life, so that I could be the dad and be the husband that I was put on this earth to be. Now, I'm going to tell you, in the book I wrote with Kevin Harrington, it's a journey. Like I didn't figure it out right away. I didn't get that holy grail of balance right away, but I did become an entrepreneur. I became a successful entrepreneur because I had mentors in my life. And one of those mentors became Kevin Harrington. And people ask all the time, how'd you and Kevin meet? Well, it's so cool because we met through a mutual mentor. Our mutual mentor was Zig Ziglar. Now, Zig Ziglar was the father of motivation and inspiration. He impacted 250 million people when he was on this earth, and he didn't have Facebook, he didn't have Instagram, he didn't have Twitter, he didn't have LinkedIn. He did it one stage, one person at a time. He was my mentor and he was Kevin's mentor. And we both connected with the children of Zig Ziglar because we wanted to extend Zig's legacy after he died. And the children of Zig Ziglar are who introduced Kevin Harrington and I. So the whole spirit of our book, Mentor to Millions, people think the millions is money. It's not, it's impact. Our title is about impact. If you want to impact millions of people, the fastest way is through mentorship, and Kevin Harrington and Mark Timm are the example of that because we're now impacting millions because of our mentor, Zig Ziglar.
Right. Very interesting. And Mark had said that only 46% people have mentors, but obviously in the book you talk about how do you get mentors. But I know podcast is a very short time period to talk about it. But how does one get mentors? You have a very interesting story. But do you think somebody from your school or college or your father, whom do you think should be a mentor?
Yeah, that is such an amazing question because I'm just going to floor everybody right now and say that you already know everybody you need to know to do and accomplish everything you've been set out to accomplish in life. So you can take a deep breath. You can sit down right now and say, wait a minute, I already know everybody I need to know. Then what's wrong? How come I'm not accomplishing everything? It's because of one thing. You're failing to raise your hand and say, I need a mentor. I need help. Now, maybe that mentor is right in your inner circle. Maybe it's an uncle, or maybe it is a business person in your community, in your circle, but maybe it's not. Maybe those people know who your mentor should be. But my point is, you already know somebody that's going to be your mentor or somebody that's going to introduce you to the mentor, but you have to take that one step. That step is raising your hand and saying, I'm ready. I'm ready to have a mentor. And oftentimes I encourage people to say, I'm ready to be a mentor, because the true exponential multiplication is to get the right mentor and then be the right mentor. That is actually the magic formula. There's lots of people out there that say, oh, I've got this mentor and that mentor and this mentor, yet they're not accomplishing anything. And the reason why is because they've got mentors, but they haven't decided to be a mentor. You have to learn from your mentors, and then you have to pass that on. And that's the magic formula that sets you up for exponential success.
Very interesting. And what are some of the important lessons you've learned from Kevin, and how did you apply across all areas of life? Because you did well in your business, but also you've applied all those things in your personal life. Before the call, we talked about how you traveling, you're helping out your kids and your family. What are some important lessons you learned from Kevin, and which you would like to tell the listeners?
Yeah, I don't mind telling everybody that I chose Kevin Harrington as a mentor because I wanted to scale my business, because I had built businesses. Yes, you're right. I had had success, but I had never gotten a business over 10 million. And for me, that was really important. I wanted to scale beyond that. I wanted to go beyond 10 million, but I needed a mentor to help me. And what I realized is it was between my ears. I limited myself. I was limiting my own ability to see how far I could go and learning how to scale. I thought I had to do it all myself instead of having more mentors, instead of building a dream team, all the things we talk about in the book, Mentor to Millions. But this is the part that gets really cool. As soon as I started learning how to scale my business, I also figured out how to scale my life. And that's when I started taking everything I was learning in business and applying it at home. That's when I made my family my most valuable business in the world. I believe the most valuable business you will ever own, ever operate, ever even have the chance to be a part of is the one you go home to, not the one you go to every day. And when you make that decision, then you start bringing home your first and your best instead of your last and your least. And many entrepreneurs and many business people, they value their family. They say those things, but they bring home to their family their last and their least. And if you bring home to your business your last and your least, it's never going to go anywhere. So I figured out, and I share in the book is a very powerful example of how you can scale business and how you can scale life. And I want people to scale. I want people to look back in their life and say, I was an entrepreneur so that I could be the father, be the friend, be the husband or the wife that I was put on this earth to be. And being an entrepreneur is how I was able to do that. And I share examples throughout the whole book of how I learned lessons from Kevin, but then I applied them at home. And the results I got at home are 100 times more valuable to me than the results I was getting in business. Even though I'm here to tell you, I did learn how to scale past $10 million. In fact, I have my first business that's well on its way to $100 million, thanks to the mentorship of Kevin. But I would be here to tell you that my family is scaling to $1 billion, probably $1 trillion. And that's why I'm telling you that as much success as I've gotten through my mentorship, nothing compares to what's happening at home.
Right. And you have a very interesting insight, which is you should lead your family like a business. But is it really possible to lead your family like a business? Because there are a lot of emotions involved, and how's the right way to do about it? Is it like looking at OKRs and you're really sitting down with your family and measuring how things are going on?
Yeah, it really is that simple. See, here's the deal. I was struggling at home because the worlds didn't line up. I understood business vernacular, but you're right, at home. So in business, I was confident, I had clarity, but at home, it was chaos and confusion. And when I started merging those two together, I started looking at what am I good at in business? Well, my business can't function without meetings. We have to have meetings. In fact, before we even set up to do this recording, I just had a meeting with my team right prior to this recording because meetings are essential. But guess what? I had never had an intentional on purpose meeting with my family prior to this point in the book that I share. But when I started having those meetings, it was so powerful. And for a number of years, we had a family meeting every Sunday night. And we conducted it on purpose. We talked about why our family was put on this earth, what we were set out to accomplish. And then I looked at other things we did in business. We had a logo in my business. We had a mission statement in my business. And so we ended up with a logo in our family, a mission statement in our family. Anything that I was learning to do in business, I brought home to my family. So I'm not saying it's easy because it's not always easy at home, period. I mean, the family life can be challenging, but I just took what I learned in business and I brought it home. And what I'm going to tell you is if you're good at anything in business, you can be that good at home. So you don't have to do the same things I did. Just look at what you're good at in business. What are you strong? Maybe it's sales, and you can bring that home to your family. Maybe it's coaching, and you can be the best coach at home. If you're good at something in business and you bring that home, I guarantee you'll get those results times 100 at home.
Very interesting. And you've talked about becoming a mentor and getting a mentor, and also, passing on all that information to a mentee. But how do you become a mentor, and how do you actually pass on, whatever values and whatever mission statement that you've created, and you've taken that information from your mentor to a mentee.
Yeah. So once you've decided to have a mentor and you've learned from them, then I believe you have a duty and obligation to become a mentor. And becoming a mentor is really, again, as simple as raising your hand and saying, I'm willing to share what I've learned, good and bad. By the way, one of the most valuable lessons you'll ever share as a mentor is your failures. Okay, a mentee, someone learning from you, does not want to just hear about your success. They just don't want to hear about how awesome you are. They want to hear about the real road to get there. I'm here to tell you, the only reason I can talk about my family today is because I got it wrong for a long time. I know what it's like to fail in that area, so I know what it feels like to succeed. If I just came on here and said, oh, my family's perfect and everything happened perfectly, nobody would care. What they want to know is that it's hard, and I struggled and I got a lot of things wrong, but I did finally figure it out. And when I got it right, it was a beautiful thing. And so being a mentor, you will know if you're ready to be a mentor, if you're ready to be vulnerable. And I will tell you that when I was mentoring my children, and I'll use this example, a lot of times we in business don't want to be vulnerable. We think we're weak when we're vulnerable. Yet when I was mentoring my kids, one of the most vulnerable points of my life where I was truly vulnerable, I felt so weak because I was so vulnerable. My kids would look back and say that was the strongest they've ever seen me as a father. And I think we make the mistake of believing that when we're vulnerable, we're weak. But the truth is, it takes real strength to be vulnerable. Someone who's willing to be vulnerable, those are the strong people. Those are the people with real strength. So if you're willing to be vulnerable as a mentor, then you're ready. If you've got lessons to teach others, you're ready. That's what it really takes.
Right. And, Mark, you just mentioned that, one of your businesses will have revenues or around $100 million. But how does somebody in their 20s, somebody really young, get to know what is the next opportunity is big or not? It's not only for young people. A lot of other people during this COVID time, they're really trying to figure out if the opportunity is really big, and should they look at such opportunities or not?
Yeah, one of the things I learned from Kevin, and I'll never forget this, and I'll pass it on to everybody now, is that Kevin's success has been built around something that he calls follow the eyeballs. And where are people looking? Where are they spending their time? Guess what my $100 million business is? E-commerce. Why?
Well,
Because that's where the eyeballs are. Okay, I had a business in e-commerce, and it wasn't a big business, but when COVID happened, all the eyeballs shifted to e-commerce. So you know what I did? I shifted my focus to e-commerce, and that business is exploding. I mean, booming. I followed the eyeballs. So if you're out there and you're in your 20s, I can't tell you exactly what business, but I can tell you, if you follow the eyeballs, where are people looking? Where are they spending their time? And if you figure that out and you put a business in the path of those eyeballs, you're going to be successful. Right now, everybody's looking at e-commerce. I'm in e-commerce, and that is an exploding category. But prior to that, it was social media. You had a lot of businesses that were booming because everybody was spending time on social media. And so businesses boomed out of that. Kevin built an infomercial business because people were watching TV. And then when people stopped watching TV, or they evolved from watching TV to watching shopping channels, and he went there. And they evolved from shopping channels to the internet, and he had as seen on TV because everybody was on the internet. And so if you look at his career, the whole career has been based on following the eyeballs. And so if Kevin could do it, I can do it, you can do it too.
Yeah, no, that's a very interesting insight for following the eyeballs. And uh, uh, you know, uh, since we're also talking about both family and business, are there any specific examples on how to be mentor to kids? Especially since you have 6 kids, do you also teach them how to be mentor to your younger kids? If you can elaborate more on that.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, kids spell love, Time. If you want to be a mentor to your kids, you got to be in it to win it. You got to spend time with them. Now, I was a busy entrepreneur. So you say, well, I just don't have time. Well, Mark, that sounds great, but I don't have time. Guess what I did? I made the decision. I wanted to be the most important mentor in their lives. So I started having them travel with me.
Oh,
I went on for a period of almost 3 years. I don't think I went on a single business trip that one of my kids didn't go with me. And it was on those trips that I got to mentor them. It was sitting in a plane. It was sitting in a hotel room. It was sitting in a conference. So for you to say you don't have time, I disagree. You have time. Put your kids in proximity with you. Let them see what you do. I believe my kids resented me as an entrepreneur before I started taking them and showing them what I really do and letting them be a part of it. And then they loved me being an entrepreneur. And so, but I spent time with them. So mentoring your kids is getting involved in what they want to do. It's learning what's important to them and playing in their level, and then opening them up to be able to learn what you have to share. You know, it's you've got to be ready when they're ready. A lot of times people want to mentor their kids at their schedule, meaning I say, do this, or you should do this, instead of waiting until they're vulnerable and open to the learning. And when they're vulnerable and open, I mean, I got to tell you, my wife is sitting in the room right here. And one of the things that she knows is that some of my mentoring happened late at night. I would be exhausted. I would be ready to crawl in bed, and one of my kids was ready to be mentored. And I would have to get up and spend 2 hours with them, exhausted, but they were ready. So you can't miss those moments when they're ready to learn what you have to offer. And if you're ready and that opportunity presents itself, you know, Winston Churchill was a great leader. And one of his famous quotes is, there comes a time in every man's life when he's tapped on the shoulder and asked to do something truly remarkable. What a shame if that moment finds that man unprepared or unqualified for what could have been his finest hour. Now, you can apply that to business. You can apply it to a lot of things. I apply it to mentorship. What a shame if when you're tapped on the shoulder and it's your opportunity to mentor someone and you're unprepared or unqualified. Be prepared, be qualified, and be ready for that tap, and you'll be an amazing mentor to your family. Now, again, once you mentor your kids, then you need your kids to mentor others, and you need to put them in a position to be able to share their learning with younger children. And there's lots of ways to do that, but encourage them to pass it on. The same formula of have a mentor and be a mentor applies no matter what your age is. It doesn't matter if you're an older adult, in your 20s, or if you're a teenager. You need mentors, and you need to be a mentor.
Right. Interesting. And talking about spouses, I do run a business with my spouse. How difficult it is to get into business with a mentor or with a spouse, and are there any do's and don'ts of doing businesses with the mentors?
Yeah, I would encourage you not to be in business with your mentor right away, because being in business with someone, you have to have the equation, the know, like, and trust. Okay, trust is really important. And so you don't want to get in business with someone that you don't really know. You don't want to get in business with someone that you don't really like. And even if they're really successful and they could help you, it won't work long term. And then finally, trust. So you've got to know them, you've got to like them, and you've got to trust them. And that can happen in a mentorship relationship. Kevin and I got into business together after we developed the know, like, and trust equation in our relationship. And so with a spouse, it's a little tricky. I know a lot of people get in business with their spouse, which is awesome, but it can also be tricky because you've got to keep that balance between business and family, and know what your roles are and how to best support each other. And so, so I hope that helps. And that's what you're looking for.
Right. And Kevin, is it possible to have a lot of mentors? Because I don't know if it is possible to tell somebody like you're my mentor, right? But when the mentor is not ready to get into that relationship, but can you have a lot of mentors across different sections of your personal and professional life?
Yeah, you can have multiple mentors, and you should have mentors in different areas of your life. You can have a mentor in your spiritual life. You can have a mentor that helps you be physically where you want to be. You can have a mentor in business, maybe a mentor in family. But the key is this: none of those mentors are really going to be everything you need them to be if you're not able to be their best student. So if you have a bunch of mentors, but you don't have the time or the commitment to be their best student, you're not going to get out of that relationship what you need to get out of it. So be a little careful. What I suggest to people is, what area of your life do you want to focus on right now? Maybe because of our book, Mentor to Millions, is largely about family and about business. So those are two good areas. And so you say to yourself, let me focus on those areas before I go out and get a mentor to be for physical, or before I go out to get a mentor for this area. Let me really focus and really get good information and learn as much as I can in these two areas, because it's okay also to have a mentor for a short period of time. You don't have to have mentors for life. You can literally have a mentor in your life for a year or 6 months or 3 months if they're there for a specific reason to teach you something that you need. So you can have multiple mentors, but be careful, because you really have to double down and be their best student. But you can also have mentors that are just there for a short time and you move on to a new mentor.
Got it. And I quickly want to do the top three. What's your favorite business book?
My favorite business book, bar none, is Zig Ziglar's See You at the Top. I know it's a classic. I know that it's been around for a long time, but I believe it was the beginning of really the mindset. You can change who you are, where you are, and what you're doing by simply changing one thing, and that's what you put into your mind. You put that content into your mind, and it's impossible for you to not start accomplishing your goals.
Interesting. And if you could go back in time when you started working on a business, is there anything you would have done differently, or one thing you would have focused on?
Without a doubt, I would have put more mentors in my life, and I would have put them there sooner, and I would have become a mentor. In our book, Mentor to Millions, we say you got to have mentors, you got to be a mentor. And if you do those two things, you can be a mentor to millions. I would have started earlier. I would have put more mentors in my life, and I would have been a mentor to more people in my life.
Correct. And your very favorite online tools, example, Gmail, Slack, Zoom.
That's really, that's a fun one. And so, to me, I would say my favorite one right now during these times, no question, is Zoom. I traveled so much. When COVID started, 13 trips I had scheduled got canceled. I can't believe I'm able to do business. My business is bigger today than it was 6 months ago. And it's because I've really embraced the virtual side of what's possible. So I love being virtual. I don't want to travel again like I was. And I'm so thankful that these kind of tools exist so I don't have to.
Interesting. And Mark, your book is coming out. It's called Mentor to Millions. What is the best way people can know more about the book and learn about the book? And you also have something called Get M2M, which if you can explain more on that.
Yeah, it's real simple. Get MTM, GETMTM.com is the URL. You can learn everything about the book. You can learn how to get the book. Obviously, we send people to Amazon and Barnes and Noble and all kinds of different places. And you can get the ebook if you're a worldwide audience. You can get the ebook. But here's the thing I want to tell you: if you go get our book and you come back and show us that you bought it, Kevin and I will give you a month of mentorship. We have people out there that say, how can I be mentored by you, Kevin or Mark? We put together a month of mentorship for anybody that buys our book. So go to Get into MTM, get the book, and get your mentorship journey started immediately.
Oh, that's a great bonus. We'll surely put that in the show notes. And Mark, what is the best way people can reach out about you and know more about you?
For me, it's real simple. MarkTimm.com, MarkTimm.com. You can find me there, reach out to me, get more resources about your family. Love to connect and love to help you impact millions through mentorship.
Right. Mark, thank you so much for taking your time speaking to us. Really enjoyed our conversation, and best wishes for the new book, which is Mentor to Millions.
Thank you. Appreciate being here.